Are you ready to get the hydrofacial glow? Loved in 87 countries across the world. It's not a facial, it's a hydrofacial. Now available across the UK. Visit hydrofacial.co.uk to find your nearest location.
I encourage everyone to be themselves, but yeah, we have had all of those virtually. Everyone's always, very glamorous. We also really like that in the virtual world, we just encourage people to turn up, in their slippers, wearing whatever you're wearing. Whether you've got your kids, your dog, half the time my Labrador thinks he's a sausage dog and likes to sit on my lap. He's like huge.
Hello, everybody.
Friday fun day.
What is that behind you? Does it say on air?
On air.
I love it.
Isn't it gorgeous?
Yeah. It's been there ages, Debbie. Have you not had your glasses on, darling?
Sorry, who said that?
Should have gone spectating. Oh gosh, I nearly didn't make it because I dropped my phone in the bath last night.
Oh no!
And I freaked out and I ran downstairs and put it in a bowl of rice and it's fine. But goodness me. But you know what? I read about this woman in Seattle who dropped her phone in a toilet, one of those big open toilets, and she was so panicked, she fell in head first into the toilet and she had to be rescued by firemen. That's a true story.
What is a big open toilet, darling? I mean, they're always open. I've never been on a closed toilet because I don't think that would work. Well, but what is an open toilet?
It was actually on a farm or something she was visiting, and she fell head first into it and had to be rescued by firemen. So obviously it was like, can you imagine? Oh, how awful that would be.
Film star in Hollywood Babylon, there was a film star, wasn't there, who had an evening. She was in the 20s. She invited all her friends around for dinner and had a great big feast and kind of said goodbye to them all, but they didn't realise what she was doing. Then she lay on her bed and took this overdose of tablets. And then in the middle of the, to be seen, and it was like a way to die. But in the middle of the night, she woke up. She was violently sick, and she drowned in the toilet in her own vomit.
Oh. Happy thought. And can we move on?
Well, I'm just going to tell you. I'll just tell you quickly this quick story. Now you've just reminded me. So this week, little Rosie, who's not 3 yet, bear in mind she's not 3D. She's not your age. Was wandering around the kitchen and got her dolly and decided to wash her dolly in a washing up bowl that had some dishes in it. So she put her dolly in. Mummy wasn't watching. She put her dolly in and was doing that with the dolly and washing her dolly. But on the side was Keely's phone. So she thought she'd wash Keely's phone with the dolly. So she's doing that. But it was ages before Keely went, take the dolly out. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh my God. She realised she'd washed the phone. Rosie had washed the phone. So it's dead. Completely.
No.
So there you go. So yeah, sorry.
Well, I'm going to liberate us all with our guest today, who is the amazing Amy Williams, who has created the Fem Foundry, a global organisation. Here she is. Welcome to our nest.
Hello.
Hi. It's wonderful to see you. Tell us how and what the Fem Foundry is.
Oh, well, that's quite a thing in one
No
sentence.
pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, no pressure. Ultimately, it is a global one-stop shop resource to help women everywhere, all ages, all backgrounds, wherever you come from. We want to see you and we want to help you. And it's a resource where there's lots of things on offer for you can learn in there. So there's an academy, everything from cryptocurrency to creative to financial. And then we run lots of events as well, and it's a one-stop resource for women all over the world.
That's amazing. And you've had an interesting journey in your life. Can you tell us how you found your way to create this?
Yes, I can. And I think it's very important to say off the bat that it wasn't a straight line, because I think, Instagram is one of those things where you look and it's very easy to see people, I started my own business and I did this and it was really easy. And it wasn't a straight line. And it was through a series of events that led me to where I am now. And I sort of, in a way, fell into it. I work for a lot of big global advertising companies for a long time, so 20 years in the media and advertising landscape. Work for some pretty big male dominated advertising places, as you can imagine, come with that a lot of male toxicity, and teaching women that the way to the top is to perhaps step on other women, which, as we know, is absolutely not the way to the top. And I had a sort of series of unfortunate events, if you like, that I'm not unique in any way, and this happens to lots of people, but for me, it all happened in a very, very short space of time. So, you know, I lost my dad, I got married, divorced after 3 months, found out he was cheating on me with a 22-year-old in the office, had a miscarriage, got made redundant, you name it, it happened. But I think, you know, genuinely, I am really grateful for all of those experiences. And I don't mean that to be contrite in any way. It's really shaped me into the person that I am now. And it's definitely shaped me into what I'm delivering now with Fem Foundry. And
which is
made
also
me...
that you don't have to be defined by anything. You are you have the right to be the person that you are today. And you were sharing also that, you know, people, if you don't have children or you do have children, there's judgment everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the children thing is something for me that I'm, you know, really passionate about, given that obviously, you know, I was pregnant, had that miscarriage, but thank God in a way I did, because then I'd be, you know, linked to him for life, which we don't want. But, you know, I'm now 42, and, you know, I do really want children, but let's face it, that might not happen now, you know, because of the age that I am now. And I get asked pretty much, you know, on a daily basis, oh, do you have children? And when I say I don't, it's that, oh, and I'm like, no, it's not, oh, it's okay, you know, it's
Okay,
stuff happens. I've got two Labradors, my furry children.
Oh my God.
We've all got dogs.
I know, they were
Yeah,
woofing
we've all
a minute
got
ago,
dogs.
and I was like, do not get the woofs now.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh yes, please get the wolves. All mine will join in as well.
Oh yeah, well, I'll probably see them. They appear from behind me because their bed's
Good.
actually here, so you see tails in the background.
I mean, what you're doing, I think, is fantastic, and much needed. I come from a very strong matriarchal family, and I'm hoping I know I've passed it on to my daughter, my granddaughters. But I'm always saying to people, I had a girl talk to me the other day, it's a makeup girl, and she was saying to me about, you know, her family, she's just moving in with her boyfriend. They're not married, but her family was saying, oh, you know, you're 30, what is she, 37? Oh, when are you going to have children? And she said, and I don't want to have children. I said, that's good. That's not bad.
Yeah.
She said, really? I said, yes, why? You don't define yourself by a man, by having a baby. If you don't want, don't have them. And she went, oh, thank God somebody said that to me, because everybody else is saying, oh, well, you know, we're looking forward to a grandchild. And I said, take no notice, tell them to go away. It's not up to them. It's up to you what you do with your life. But I think this thing about strong women is we are, and the Me Too has helped, but I still think we take 2 steps forwards and then bam, like Angela Rayner in Parliament this week, bam, we go 3 steps back. And I guess that might always be because we'll always be fighting for the reason to exist. I mean, look at Parliament. How many women do you see in there that stand up? You know, and I just think, and I get so frustrated by it. But more than that, you probably do more than I do, because you're within that world.
I totally agree, and you know, we shouldn't always be fighting, and it's crazy that we're in 2022 and we still very much are fighting. And I really agree. I think that you know, again, from my experiences and also my experiences in media and advertising, the landscape now is more fragmented than ever. And those resources, you know, in one place just really don't exist. And that's an absolute travesty. And that's, again, why Fem Foundry exists, because they have to, I want a place where all women can go, that they can find these resources. And to your point, from a female funding point of view, female funding investment in the UK was at 2% pre-COVID. it's now less than 1%. So we're going backwards, if anything, not forwards.
Absolutely.
Which is crazy. And we're not supporting entrepreneurial women and women to be able to have their own companies and their own businesses to finance them. And that has to absolutely fundamentally change.
Mm-hmm. And how can we change that? How can we change that?
I think it's a big question, but more women have to get involved in investing. And, when we say investing, that can be anything from £5,000 to £10,000. I think finance for women, and that's one of our key pillars in Fem Foundry actually, is financial health. More education for women around financial health and what that means, because traditionally it's passed on from father to son in a very male dominated space. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's something that education wise we need to be educating and teaching, women and boys and girls more. And women taking an interest in that space to be able to really help women. One thing I'd love to do with the platform when we're able is to create a fund to be able to fund female-led businesses, but more on a sort of smaller scale. So I've been through it myself during a global pandemic. We still are trying to raise money. And those businesses might not need, 50 grand, 100 grand, because that takes a lot longer to pitch for those levels of money. But 5 grand here or 10 grand there, where it's a grant system, is much easier. And that could be, very life-changing for that company and that entrepreneur at that time.
Yeah. You talked about inheritance. And I'm just fighting a case for my mother, who hasn't, the male side of the family have inherited, and my parents split up. But my mother was the creative force entity. Most people know she had the original credits. And over time, the credits have actually been eliminated from, a very big brand called, it's Wonderbirds and all the programs around that. And I've taken on an enormous organisation, and we're going to Parliament too to talk, and using her as an example of bullying, and the bullying helpline are behind us. Very big, powerful people are coming on board, but it has taken about 5 years, since she passed, when I found a contract with her name crossed out, and my stepfather had actually done the deal without behind her back. And that's how it started. And I took it to a lawyer who said this is fraud, basically. So it's taking a long time, but I think we're coming now to the point where we're just about to it's going to come to fruition. But I've also written a lot about women in the workplace, and I was, attended conferences, and I was horrified to know that there still aren't enough women in the boardroom, and because actually a lot of women they stopped working at 35. That was the sort of, and it's horrific. I mean, so things haven't really changed, as Sherry said.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that's where that stigma comes from. I used to see, day after day, the age-old media brief and it was always 35. So and so shops at Waitrose and is 25 to 35, and then it got me. I was like, well, what happens after 35?
Exactly.
Do we just fall off a cliff and we don't exist? What is happening? But I think there's that stigma as well, that if you're still in work after 35 and you are, I started my own business at 40 as an example, which it doesn't really happen that often, although it probably does, but people just don't know about it and talk about it. And I always say you can start life whenever you choose and do whatever you want at whatever age. We're learning consistently, and I think that's something that we really want to break, that stigma that you can absolutely work, or as you say, if you choose not to have children, that's okay too. It's your choice. I think it's about just having those conversations. That's absolutely your choice. But
I think it's any age. I think the thing is, it's not just after 35, it's after any age, really. Yes, I think we've got to be able to think, even if we're in our 60s, like we've done with this show, we can start something. We started, we started this show with women, over 60, and people went, wow, aren't you, but it was out of necessity.
Shouldn't they be in slippers at home?
Don't.
Well, we are actually.
We are.
We're placed downwards. We are in slippers at home, but that's another thing.
I was about to say, you all look really glamorous, and I'm in my hoodie with my hair tied up and no makeup on.
You haven't seen the tracksuit bottoms, darling.
You're an amazing woman.
Do
And
you
again, it's
do you
inspirational.
have conferences where women can come and join in with the conversation, or is that
Yes.
something you've done or would do?
Yeah, absolutely. We've done, everything's been virtual so far. And to that point, we really encourage, because of COVID and everything as well, the way we live and work, as we know, has exponentially changed. And, you know, 3 or 4 years ago in media, you know, my friends would be laughing now if they could see what we can see. They'd know that I would never turn up to a meeting and I'd have my hair done, my makeup done, you know, and all of that. But I think in a way that can be quite, you know, for other women as well, can be quite daunting, maybe a bit off-putting, and everyone's always, you know, very glamorous. We sort of really like that in the virtual world. We just encourage people to turn up, you know, in their slippers, wearing whatever you're wearing. You know, whether you've got your kids, your dog, you know, half the time my Labrador thinks he's a sausage dog and likes to sit on my lap. He's like huge. We have team meetings where he's sitting there and I'm like, this is ridiculous. But you know, just to encourage everyone to be themselves. But yeah, we have had all of those virtually, and we always have a very open, we say we're very open and very, very honest in those conversations, and we will be doing now, we're stepping into in real life events and things like that, and we really want to continue that ethos with us,
and we'll be there. If you go live, we're there.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'll hold you to that.
You see, it works the opposite for us, actually, because during the Zoom meetings that we've had and the show, that the fact that we could actually get up, get dressed 3 times a week to do our show and put some makeup on saved our lives, I think.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Of course.
But at a different time. And this, what you're talking about is an ongoing work issue throughout time. And for us, this was a different thing. It just absolutely saved us. And, you know, and a laugh, really. But your thing is so important. The Fem Foundry is so vital for women. And as you said, a safe space where everybody is welcome and everyone can contribute.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the fact that it's global as well is really, really important to us, so that we are getting, you know, as many diverse and dynamic voices into the platform as possible, because I've seen a lot of that in my time. And, you know, a lot of the time when they say, oh, we're diverse, and they basically mean US and UK, and we're like, okay, but that's not representative of women all over the world.
No.
And the platform itself was, you know, we originally looked at the biggest global piece of research ever done on women, which was 19 countries, 22,000 women, took 5 years to complete. And that research was the age 17 to 65, but then we've taken that and sort of then looked at that on a much broader lens. But actually it was fascinating for me, because over 19 countries, and you look at this research, I was like, well, actually, we all are so fundamentally similar, and we all just want the same thing. And we want equality, and we want that, you know, that fairness. And I think to your point, saying 2 steps forward and 5 back, and where we are now, we're still not. There's so much to do, and I think feminism has sort of become a bit of a dirty word, and that's 100% something we want to teach on the platform as well, that it's not a dirty word, and it doesn't mean we hate men, it doesn't mean we bash men or we think any less of men. It just means we want, you know, equality, and that's essentially all it means. We do let men on the platform as well, to that, because we don't want to exclude them. It is a
lot of men are very, very supportive, especially the younger ones who are brought up by women like us.
Yes.
You know what the other thing is, though, is it's reaching out to women who don't believe this. Do you know what I mean? It's reaching out to those women who go, oh no, I don't want to talk about this. You know, it's got nothing to do with me. They'll never help me because I'm stuck at home. I've got 4 children. I'm on benefits. How the hell can I be helped? It's reaching out to those women as well, isn't it? Not people like us, because we know, and we will go out there, we will fight, and I'm a proper fighter. But it's the other women, you know, in the refuges and all of that, to know that actually you don't have to have that life. There is another way. That's quite hard, isn't it? I
don't know if you've watched the Netflix series Made, but that for me was just, you know, so enlightening about the system that, you know, obviously it's based on a true story, and the system that she was stuck in. And, you know, I was literally sobbing watching that, going like, in my dark days in COVID, where I was like, trying to get money for this platform, and I was like, I don't know if I can do another day or do this. Things like that really keep me going, and I'm like, this is what I'm so passionate about, to help women like that, to say, here's a free resource that you can upskill, you can educate, there's a way out of this. And also that resource of women like yourselves, like incredible women around the world from all ages that really want to
can reach them. We can reach those people, really, you know. It's just being able to, it's just knowing how, isn't it?
What we'd love to do is put all the Fem Foundry information on our platform, and you are amazing. Thank you so much for coming on, and we are going to be there when you have your real life conferences. Thank you.
Brilliant. I look forward to seeing you all. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
You're amazing.
Thank you. This week has been full of very interesting people.
Yeah.
Really interesting. We're obviously learning a lot these days, girls.
Yeah.
It's just you know, the world doesn't ever move on. Well, you feel as though it doesn't ever move on, but I guess it does, and it will. But it's just we all need to come together and do something about things. That's you know, it's the power that we have. Yeah, and we don't use. That's what is frustrating, isn't it?
I thought what you said, Sherry, about, you know, it's about women who don't think there's anything out there for them.
They think that they haven't got they will never have a life. They're pointless, useless, and do you know what I mean? I know. I was one of those battered women. Although I have the strength, you know, and I had people around me, but I know the pointlessness, you know, that they feel, and the kind of, well, it's no good. It's never going to happen for me. I can't do anything. I just think they're the women you have to reach to, and she will. She's what she will.
There's a chance and there's a hope.
Yeah.
But we'll see you next week, girls.
We will.
We will. Have a lovely weekend.
And you.
Bye.
Bye.